Hi there, everyone. Hi to you. Thank you for tuning in, Ambitious IMG. I'm glad to see you. If you're new to my broadcast and this is your first time tuning in, my name is Shauna K. Lester, and I am the founder of Memorable Essay and the creator of the IMG Residency Match Application Accelerator. So thank you for joining. So I actually just wanted to hop on to speak very quickly about something that has come up. Well, it came up in a discussion actually I was having with a former client as he was sort of reminiscing on his time applying to residency. He's now going into his second fellowship training opportunity actually. But we were talking about his experience applying to residency and the fact that as an IMG, sometimes IMGs will believe that whatever they're doing to go the extra mile or to be excellent is something that, well, they're believing that it will separate them from the pack, which it will, but they're also believing that it's some sort of going above and beyond actually to make things work, when really it is just something that is sort of run of the mill. And he was saying this because he was thinking about when he was applying to residency, and he was talking with some of his colleagues, some of whom were American medical graduates, not that that's a monolith in terms of that group, but talking with them and just them describing the different lens that they were going to make sure that their application was in tip-top shape. And him realizing then as an IMG that by him putting out effort and him making sure that he was excellent, he actually was not really pulling ahead, but he was more just sort of leveling the playing field because other people were taking this process just very, very seriously. And so I know that everyone has kind of tuned in by now to the changes that are coming to the selection process in terms of the USMLE Step 1 exam by early as 2022, going to something that's pass-fail, going to more of a pass-fail option and not sort of like your raw digit score in the past. And there's actually, I don't know how many people know this, but there's a broader discussion in graduate medical education about that across the board, just on the issue of the importance of basic sciences to the quality of physicians that not just residency programs, but medical schools produce actually, and just thinking of different ways that graduate medical education can be redesigned to be shorter, to be more effective, to really get to the heart of what makes for a good physician. But people know that these changes are coming now, and I think that that will sort of help individuals, especially IMGs, who normally ask the question, what's the most important part of my match application? Is it my step score? And my response to that normally is that the most important part of your application is every part, right? Because your step scores are going to give one piece of information, your letters are going to give in terms of your recommendation letters, those are going to give one bit of information, your personal statement and your CV will give other information, right? So every part is the most important part. And we can see that now with the changes coming, that people are really going to be focused on how are you clinically and how do you perform over time in terms of what can we tell from your medical school grades and what can we tell from what you're writing that your motivation is, and what do we see in reality that your motivation is. Like, do you want to be a family medicine physician with no experience in family medicine and all your experience in surgery? So we know that every part of the application is the most important part, and I wanted to talk about why as an IMG it is important that excellence is your standard for everything that you do in this process. And so the first reason that this is important is because, as you know, you are in a high stakes profession. So everyone knows that their work is important. There are other professions. We hope our pilot gets things right. We hope our mechanic gets things right when we take the car to the mechanic. And of course, it really is sort of the same position with you as a physician in terms of the decisions that you're making, the work that you're going to be doing in the future will not only keep people well, but in many instances they will keep people alive. It will be the difference between life and death. Therefore, you can't be a careless person, you can't be a sloppy person. You have to be a person who excellent is your normal, excellent is your standard, excellence is your habit. So because of that, you have to be excellent as the norm, as the baseline, right? Because when you think about it, especially when you so I encourage my clients to really take on the mindset of a program director, to imagine yourself as a program director. when you put on those shoes and when you think of your program, the last thing that you want is somebody who is going to bring disgrace or to bring harm on your program by harming patients, right? So if you are not excellent in your profession as a physician, you're going to put yourself in disrepute, you're going to harm or kill your patients, you're going to bring shame to a program. So it's very, very important just because of the nature of your profession. The other point that I have about why it makes a difference that you are excellent, or why it's important that you're excellent, and some people might be offended or triggered by this, but I'm going to say it because I don't care, and I believe that it is the truth, but you're free to disagree, but I do believe that it's the truth. And that's that people who really make a lasting difference are people who are excellent as a habit, as a standard. For you to make a mark in any area, much less in the medical field, whether you're going to be mainly in the clinic, you're going to be an academic physician, you're going to be primarily a researcher, you're going to have to be excellent, because that's just how things work. The people who make a mark, who make a difference, are people who are excellent. And the key to this is that all programs are looking for people who are going to make a mark, because then they will be able to say that you came to their program. So I've been working with IMGs for about 6 years, but I've been in the world of admission consulting for about 12 years. And I often explain that to people in very plain terms, that when you sort of take the emotion out of it, all programs, every school, every university, they care about you and your future to a certain point. It's really about them being able to say years later, hey, did you know so-and-so came to our program, or such and such was trained here, such and such got their start here. It's very important to them because they want to know that they're doing meaningful work, and you basically elevate the position of their program by you being excellent. And so you want to signal to programs when you're coming in that, hey, I'm going to be that physician who you can say years later is teaching all of these people, or is discovering all of this great stuff, or who's getting all of these green ribbons and all of these prizes. And so they'll be enthused about having you because they want to have the superstar alum, right? So you want to signal that excellence is your standard, because that will show programs that you're really going to make a difference in the field and a difference in the world, and they will have all of the boasting power and all of the pleasure of saying that they trained you. All right, that's the second reason. So the third reason that every part of your application needs to be excellent is that it is a buyer's market. And I know that a lot of people get offended by the thought of, words like selling yourself or being in a market. A market in business is where you exchange goods and products. But you sort of are, because there is, for those of you who have some exposure to economics, there is a principle of supply and demand, right? Quite straightforward, is that you are looking for a residency position, and there are only so many positions, right? Until that is resolved politically, there are only so many positions. You're also jostling for these positions, and this is especially relevant to people who are going into those, or who are now eyeing those E-road specialties, your emergency medicine, radiology, ANS, derm, that sort of thing. You are going, IMGs who are doing that, you're already just like in a different realm. It's not that it's not possible, it's very possible, but you're in quite a competitive realm if you're going for those sorts of specialties. For persons who are going for the specialties that are not considered as competitive to match into, they still are competitive specialties to match into. So basically the blade is in your hand, as they say, like with a knife, like programs are holding the handle and you are holding the blade. So you have to be excellent. It's just like, who is going to take the time to sit and try and decipher some personal statement that they can't understand? Who is going to dig to find out why you transferred 2 times? They don't need to do that because they have all the options in the world, right? They might listen to your story of why you failed a step if they've had a chance to see you work, and they really know that your work ethic is off the charts. People don't have time for this. And this is not like a scare tactic I normally tell people, but I think it's very important that people be honest with you, like encouraging, but also honest with you, because programs and program directors and people who are doing interviews, they really don't have the time because they need to do their work, they need to get home to their families, they have more options. So if you come through like, Dr. Sloppy, like, oh, here I am, I really want this position, nobody's going to take you seriously because they have all the choices in the world. And if they do not like what they see before them in the first couple of seconds, all they have to do is to click out of it and to look elsewhere for Dr. Excellent, who is not perfect, but has shown by the way that they've put themselves together that, hey, I care about this. Hey, I realize that this is a really important process. Hey, I want you to think well of me, and hey, I want you to rest easy, that I will never harm your patient. I will never kill your patient. I will never give you sloppy work and think that it is acceptable. All right, so thank you for tuning in, and I just wanted to share that with you today as you start to put your application together for Match 2021, as you're studying for your exams, to just keep motivated, to keep going, because you are right in that instinct that is telling you that you need to be excellent. And it's not that you're going to necessarily be excellent to stand out, but you really are going to be excellent to even give yourself a chance to be in the process, because excellence really is the standard in a process that is this competitive, where programs really have all the stay, in a profession that is absolutely this high stakes, and in a world where people care about being able to brag on you because you brought prestige to their program. All right, so take care, and I will catch you next time. Bye.